So the Supreme King is very likely coming to Duel Links sometime soon thanks to the teasers we've had from the end of the Axel Brody Unlock event via the DD Castle, and he's always been one of the most requested characters I've seen online, on Reddit, on Twitter, in my comments. So today, let's take a look at how his unlock might happen, what card rewards and skills might he realistically bring, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. So, welcome back to Duel Links What If, this time, Supreme King Jaden. And of course, if you enjoyed this video at all, leaving a like, let me know what you want to see from Supreme King in a comment, and subscribe to the channel would be absolutely amazing and much appreciated. So let's roll the intro. So who is the Supreme King? Well, he is the wielder of the Gentle Darkness and the alternate dark personality of Jaden Yuki, who was unleashed in GX Season 3, the final kind of season, and he uses the Evil Hero archetype, which is a little bit different than Jaden's Elemental Heroes, but they're very similar, they're based off each other. You know, Jaden succumbed to the darkness of the Supreme King after being tempted by Super Polymerization, a card we have in Duel Links right now, via a skill from Jaden/Ubel. As I just mentioned, the Supreme King uses a twisted, darker version of the Elemental Heroes called Evil Heroes. Now, if you know anything about the TCG, you'll know that the first wave we got back in 2007, they aren't all that great. That's mainly the ones I think we're going to be getting when he does come, but they did get a brand new wave of support back in early 2020, which those cards are really good. I think we'll see some of them in Duel Links, and some of them, the main one, we just won't see at all. In general, the Evil Heroes follow a similar playstyle to the Elemental Heroes, focusing on big fusion summon boss monsters via the spell card Dark Fusion instead of Polymerization. But in general, the materials are the same E-Heroes you've come to know and love over the past, 3 or 4 years of Duel Links. So this to me is a pretty straightforward one, as Konami have been already aligning the teasing of Supreme King with the DD Castle. I think it's pretty safe to say we're getting Supreme King at the culmination, the finale of the DD Castle. Now, I say that because I believe we're going to be seeing Jim first. I think we're going to see a few more GX characters, maybe just Jim, climb the tower to kind of replicate the anime. We already had Axel climbing the tower, which was a very big anime reference, and Jim was getting his way there before the Supreme King did end up beating him. Kind of spoilers there. The DD Castle in Duel Links is based on the card artwork for Supreme King's Castle, so that's not a coincidence, I really don't think. And of course, on the way up, you fight the Dark World monsters, all of them, pretty much, were in the GX anime. They were focusing that arc, so a lot of references all coming together, and really, it should be pretty obvious we're going to be seeing him via this event. Now, they could of course pull an Igami and have him show up in other events. I do think, we'll get to Jim's event, and we might face him, at the end, and have our first real tease of the Supreme King coming to Duel Links, and then of course wait a few months, have an unlock, and then go about it like that. But I think in general, you're going to be seeing Supreme King a lot, be teased, hyped up, and then towards the end of the year, he will be available in December. That would be a very cool way to round out the year with a bit of a bang for GX World. Really one of the most wanted characters, and I know it's a third Jaden, but it's a very cool version of Jaden, so I'll take it. So I think immediately we should expect the Supreme King to have some pretty lackluster drop cards. Basically, guaranteed reprints of Jaden's Elemental Heroes in their alternate artworks. Now, we know from the TCG and OCG, we have Basinatrix, Avian, and Sparkman with real artworks, with real darker artworks, but in the anime, Wildheart had one, and Clayman had the anime artwork that was never used, so they could, theoretically, give us, those artworks, bring them into Duel Links for the first time ever. That would be some pretty easy drop cards to put in. Of course, Clayman's an SR, the rest of them are rares, so they would all kind of fit in there, and that would make a ton of sense for his drop card specifically. Now, GX characters have the privilege of being lucky enough to have 45 levels worth of character rewards to unlock, and if we go and use Axel as a template, for how many cards, copies, etc., then we get the following result. 2 copies of one rare card, 3 copies of another rare card, 3 copies of 2 super rares, 3 copies of 1 ultra rare, and finally 1 copy of 1 ultra rare for the level 45 card. Now, that's a total of 7 brand new cards with 1 unique reward card for level 45. So let's try and suss together what cards could be part of his rewards. First off, Dark Fusion. This is the main card you need for evil heroes to actually function, and as well as being a good fusion card, it makes them untargetable by card effects during that turn, which is really good in a metagame where spell and trap cards are very heavily dependent. You know, you have Book of Moon, you have Bin Lance, all these kind of things, Karma Cut, Floodgate, all seeing tons of play. I see Dark Fusion being part of his drop rewards, you know, via the gate, rather than a level up card, but they could always do that. But instead, I think Konami will give us a copy of Dark Calling as a rare level up card, which might be 2 copies, but this is basically Dark Fusion, but by banishing monsters from your hand and or graveyard instead. So a different use case, but doesn't give any protection. However, it does work better with some future evil hero support cards we'll talk about towards the end of the video, but for now, I think that's a kind of a solid pick. Choosing the Supreme King's level reward cards is kind of hard because all of his fusion monsters aren't actually terrible effect-wise, it's just their materials aren't the most amazing thing in the world, which makes them kind of balanced. And as such, I think his level 45 reward card will be a single copy of Evil Hero Malicious Fiend. This is a fusion of Malicious Edge and a level 6 or higher Fiend monster, which usually would be another Evil Hero fusion monster if you have it, and this forces all monsters your opponent controls to attack this card during their battle phase and put them into attack mode, so your opponent has to actively try and get rid of this card, or they can just skip their battle phase and make it so that they don't have to just crash into your guy with all their monsters. So it's got a very beefy attack at 3500, but that to me just makes it feel like a very good boss monster to be obtainable for free to play at 1 copy, which won't be too broken because its requirements are hard enough. Getting 2 level 6s pretty much, level 7s even, on board. So, okay, first one out of the way. And of course, if we're getting Malicious Fiend, then we do need to be able to obtain Malicious Edge, which is probably going to be a super rare card. If it's via level ups, if it's via card drops, then a UR would fit the rarity fine. And as the name kind of suggests, it's a darker version of Blade Edge, which means that it has the same piercing damage effect, which is okay, nothing too amazing. It's also summonable with only 1 tribute if your opponent controls a monster, so it's not terrible, but not really all that great, but you can cheese it out later on, and we'll talk about that one. So our tribute lineup so far is looking pretty stacked. How about any normal monsters for our deck? So first up, let's add another rare card to the list with Evil Hero Infernal Gainer. This is your highest attack normal summon for now that can banish itself to allow another fiend monster you control the ability to attack twice during each battle phase for as long as it remains face up on the field, which is really big. In addition, Gainer does come back to the board after 2 standby phases, so you can then reuse the effect, but this is something we don't really see in Duel Links too much, having lingering effects over multiple turns that do give you multiple attacks, so it kind of makes your fusions into a big beefy Lunalight, which is pretty cool, especially considering the cards are so old, but doing so might leave you in a bit of a risky position if you're just relying on a big boss monster that is at that point going to be, is going to be targetable because Dark Fusion would have worn off. So really, it's a bit of a risk. Now, our other monster, and filling the ultra rare slot at 3 copies, is Evil Hero Infernal Prodigy. I think I'm being very generous with this one because it's basically Photon Thrasher, but level 2. So it not only helps out your Evil Hero deck, but also gives you access to generic rank 2 decks, and, for synchro decks for low level, level 5 synchros, level 6 synchros, a very good target for your non-tuner. And it's the perfect card to kind of use with Malicious Edge to tribute, special summon this card out, tribute it, summon Edge from your hand, and if he's used to tribute summon a hero monster, that could be a Destiny, Elemental, Vision Hero, whatever, you get a draw 1 in the end phase, which is a nice bonus, and honestly, this is the one I'm feeling the least confident on of all the bunch, but given Konami have been giving us more and more cards like this, that are free special summons, I feel it could happen. Or they're just relegated to a box, but I think there's better targets for box cards than this one. Now, part of me believes that Konami will go out of their way to make Evil Heroes as easy to get as possible, and so may give us multiple copies of their fusions as one-off drops rather than multiple, 3 copies of an SR, they'll give us 1 copy of each fusion as SR rarity. They might do that, but if I had to guess which one was kind of a lock for his level ups, it would be Infernal Sniper. Now, this is a fusion of Bastintrix and Clayman that can't be destroyed by spell cards, but of course can be affected by them, and during each standby phase, it will burn for 500 in Duel Links as long as it's in defense mode, which is decent enough but not overly amazing, so you can kind of see why it would easily fit the SR rarity, if not maybe even be a rare or lower. It really could. They might try and keep them the same rarity as the Element Hero counterparts, which would actually be kind of problematic for one we see in the future. So that's the level up rewards done, and I know what you're thinking, where's all the other fusions plus Malicious Bane, all the newer kind of stuff? And well, in some cases we need to leave rewards out for its eventual rerun, so some of the fusions like Inferno Wing or Dark Gaia could be decent choices for those slots. I do also think I will continue the trend we've seen so far with Kite Tenjo and Antinomy by offering up some key archetype support cards in a main box or mini box very, very close to release, and I would expect cards like Adjusted Gold to be in there, which you can discard from your hand to search out a Dark Fusion or card that lists it from your deck to your hand, and even something like Sinister Necrom, who you can banish from your graveyard to special summon any evil hero from your hand or deck, which gets you immediate access to Malicious Edge. I would put both of them, honestly, as ultra rare. Maybe, you know, gold can go to SR, with Evil Hero Lightning Golem being in the box as well, which is the retrained form of Thunder Giant, because it does have a kind of decently generic once per turn destroy one monster on the field. I'd kind of look to those cards being in the box, and no, I do not think we'll be seeing Malicious Bane for a very, very, very long time. So what about his skills? How could they look? Well, of course we'll see some reprint skills, things like Ultimate Fusion, which is the Super Poly skill. I think that's a very easy reprint slot. Something like Fiend's Farewell, which is another returning skill that makes way too much sense to use and is currently only available from Bakura and Yubel. And aside from that, I think we're going to see a few skills that retrain some cards from the TCG, and some that kind of bring some older anime cards into fruition. So, first of all, is a skill Supreme King's Mind. This skill is based on the card Evil Mind, and will work similarly to how the Turbo GB skills work in terms of counters. However, it will only work if you have an evil hero, and the reason why is because I don't want the skill to kind of be used in any Fiend deck just to get a very quick +1 draw. And with how many decks in the meta right now put things in the graveyard, I could see this being okay, but nothing too game-breaking. In the case of Supreme King's Castle, I want this card to be available as a card. Like, I really do. It's a really, really good field spell for the deck, but I see this being kind of similar to the Magnetic Field spell card that was released a few boxes after Magnetic Warriors got, you know, more support. And as such, having this card as a skill that you can activate after hitting a certain requirement, and knowing Konami, I could see this being something like having a certain number of evil heroes in your deck, or maybe just in the extra deck, and that would make a ton of sense, given you could feasibly build a deck around not having to use Dark Fusion, or just getting easy evil heroes into the graveyard in the case of Dark Calling that could make summoning into Malicious Fiend super easy. Even more so if Sinister Necrom is available from the box at the same time. Dark Fusion Time is a retrain of Jaden Yuki's Fusion Time skill that will get you into Dark Fusion instead of Polymerization, but given that this is kind of similar to Super Poly's skill anyway, I don't see this one being used or even being added because it is just so similar, and really, you would always pick Super Poly over Dark Fusion, I feel like, especially given, you know, well, at that point, you know, the meta could be completely different, it could be very dark based, so you never know. I feel like that one would clash too much with the Super Poly skill, but you know, Konami put filler skills in from time to time, they could easily do that. Now, the next one is Evil Hero Inferno. Activate only if your opponent controls a special summon monster. Special summon one evil token to your opponent's side of the field. Your opponent takes 500 points of damage during each standby phase, whilst the token is face up on the field. Now, this is based kind of loosely off the Evil Blast Trap, which is already in Duel Links. It's in the box, so we can't get it via a level up reward, but a skill that kind of retrains a card currently in the game into something that's actually usable, and would then be usable via the Super Poly skill is, or, you know, well, it wouldn't, because you can't use two skills at the same time, but but in the future, it might be. Now, for the last one I believe I have, yes, it's Evil Hero Offering. Target one face-up monster opponent controls, special summon a token with the same original tap points as that monster, but as a rock monster. This is your Dark Gaia bait. Now, I believe I said this earlier, but if I didn't, then I kind of expect Dark Gaia to be one of the second wave of support cards that will be via his rerun event. So, usually with rerun events, unlock events, we get a brand new skill. And having a skill that can turbo out Dark Gaia very easily would be very beneficial to the Evil Hero deck. So I think that's the skill I would be most excited for, and of course the Field Spell one, the Supreme King's Castle one. But let me know down below what you think of Supreme King Jaden coming to Duel Links sometime soon. I really hope he's coming. You know, I believe he'll be here by the end of the year. December time is kind of where I'm thinking he'll be. And if he's not, then it's going to be kind of disappointing, but given we're getting Duke next week, and Duke was one of the first characters we did a what if video on, it's going to be interesting to see how right or how wrong we were. So, well, let's wait and see. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next Duel Links video. See you then.